John, the beloved disciple, was brother to James the Great. The churches of Smyrna, Pergamos, Sardis, Philadelphia, Laodicea, and Thyatira were founded by him. From Ephesus he was ordered to be sent to Rome, where it is affirmed he was cast into a cauldron of boiling oil. He escaped by miracle without injury. Domitian, afterwards, banished him to the Isle of Patmos, where he wrote the book of Revelation. Nerva, the successor of Domitian, recalled him. He was the only apostle who escaped a violent death. Hey, Paul.
Hey, Steven. What's up?
Good to see you again.
You too. I feel like it's been forever.
Yeah. I mean, I did the intro by myself, so.
I wasn't even here yet.
I know. It's
I
not,
was out.
yeah, I was waiting on you to come and decided to get real intimate with the camera.
Yeah.
the people.
I'm actually just going to call myself out because I think it's funny.
Oh.
So I walked here tonight to the studio.
You did.
And I was late to get here because I missed my turn.
You were. Yes.
And if that's confusing to you to hear that, it's yes. It should be.
So you were walking
Yeah.
and you missed your turn.
Yeah. Normally you think you're driving and you're like, oh, I missed my turn.
Yeah.
But no, I was walking.
Yeah, so so for those of you who don't know us or where we live in the town we're in, we don't live in New York City, so
No.
it's not like it's not particularly super easy to get lost.
No. There's only a handful of roads you can really go down.
Yeah, and every block is like a quarter mile.
Yeah.
So it's significant. Like if you miss a street, it's a while until you get to the next street.
And you think you'd realize it.
Well, the funny thing is like there's two lakes and you walked around one lake.
Yeah.
And then you went up and over to the other lake.
Yeah, and that's when I realized I had gone too far.
Yeah. Probably a good half mile.
Yeah.
It might have been longer than that.
Actually, probably it might have been.
I mean, by the time it was probably at least a mile by the time you got here.
Yeah.
Well,
so
the question is,
that's what I did.
What were you doing?
Well, I was trying to get my steps in for today.
Okay.
And I've been sitting a lot today, kind of, in preparation for tonight.
Okay.
But then also just doing some other side work for people on the computer. And I'm like, I need to start moving. So I was like, I gotta.
Oh, I meant while you were walking.
Oh, I was walking? Oh, I thought you meant today. I was like, well, I can walk you through it.
No, what do you do? Well, this morning at it precisely.
Well, let's see. Pull my day planner.
I woke up and there was nice crispy bacon already at my feet. I did not burn my foot.
No, actually, when I like to take long, 2-hour walks.
Okay.
So I get a good 5 miles in or so.
Did you do that?
This is what I'm doing now.
Oh,
so I was like
currently.
Yeah, currently. So I'm halfway through my walk.
Okay. So Paul's stopping for us.
I'm stopping to record a quick pod.
And then he's gonna walk back home.
No, it's kind of like I kind of view it as my quiet refocus time.
That makes sense.
So I do a lot of praying then.
You kind of zone out
and just kind of get lost in my thoughts.
Yeah, I get that.
Which is nice.
It's kind of like you talk about well, you may not talk about this, but people talk about like runner's high.
Oh yeah.
You do more like a walker's high.
Yeah, I was feeling it tonight.
Yeah, but it makes sense though. It's like when your body is functioning like that, your brain just kind of clears out.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
It's a good feeling.
And so actually, while I was doing that, I had a thought, which I found very interesting.
Okay.
About our martyr today, John.
Okay. Yes, John.
And so you read a list of the churches that he founded.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
And what's interesting, so, I mean, it says it in the intro, but he was the writer of Revelation.
He was.
And in the beginning of Revelation, there's 7 letters that are written to 7 churches.
Yes.
And he was the founder of 6 of those 7 churches.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
And on top of that, the only church that he didn't found, according to John Fox, was Ephesus, the church in Ephesus. But he was in Ephesus when then he was sent out.
Yeah, and interesting enough, Ephesus Asia Minor,
Yeah.
which at the time would have been like lower region of Turkey,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is like in the Mesopotamian area.
Interesting.
Asia Minor is also where he's from.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And then he's in Patmos, which is northern Turkey.
Oh, that's cool.
So there's like all this interplay
Yeah.
around Ephesus.
And yet he didn't found a church there.
He did it. No. But that is, yeah. Who founded Ephesus? Maybe I shouldn't
I'm not
ask that
sure.
question.
Because I don't know the answer to it.
Okay.
I guess you can ask it.
I want to say Luke, but that's not true. It's just not true.
It's just not true. It could be cool.
If you know, tell us. We'll
Please
find
tell us.
out. We could find out pretty quickly with our phones, but
Where's the fun in that?
yeah, it's not.
Ah.
Let
But
us know.
So I thought that was kind of cool. And also another point that John Fox brings out is that he was the only one to not get brutally murdered.
Yeah, that is pretty wild.
I was like, that's actually kind of fascinating.
But he was brutalized.
Was he, though? Because he came out undamaged, he says. He was thrown into a pot of boiling oil.
Yeah, it's a little bit
And yet he's
Shadrach,
just like,
Meshach,
yeah.
Abednego.
Abednego. I forgot what their pre-slave names were.
Oh, yeah. They're Jewish names?
Yeah. Isn't that sad, though? That's the ones we know them by.
Yeah.
It's kind of an interesting idea to me.
Abednego. It's just where the N is.
Abednego.
Yeah.
Abednego.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's that new song that has that in the lyric. And it's like no one's ever singing that correctly.
That's cruel.
Yeah. But no, that is actually really interesting. It also like kind of brings that home and going like, I don't know that I knew that. Did you know that?
I didn't.
So like where would we have known that?
Right.
That's the thing is like
I feel like that has to come from eyewitnesses.
Well, or tradition, because John Fox
That's
is not
true.
like John Fox is way too far removed from.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's like originally it's like that must have been an idea that came and was passed down
yeah,
then to him
that's
through tradition.
and we've talked
Yeah.
about that. Like with John Fox in the 1500s writing this, he's writing from tradition and understanding. He's collecting all of this data and putting it all together in one concise book and record. So like because he's doing that, he's pulling from things that we may not even really know to look at. I don't know that I've ever
It might
thought.
be locked in the Vatican at this point.
Yeah, probably. Well, and we've talked about that before, but John Fox was a Protestant.
Yes.
So like he's not Catholic. I think on an earlier episode I said like he had access to the Vatican archives.
He could have.
But he
at some
maybe.
point.
I don't know though, because that's a little too close to the Reformation.
You're like, get out.
Yeah. They might have killed, like,
But
they might
there
have
was-
put him in boiling
There was
oil.
more of that tradition and knowledge that they would have known
Right.
just from being a part of it for so long.
That's true.
And then so for us now, since we're removed from a lot of that,
Yeah.
we don't have that same information
Yeah, true.
or access to it.
Yeah.
But the other interesting thing, and this will apply down there. Here's some foreshadowing.
Ooh, I like that.
You like that?
I do like foreshadowing.
So the one cool thing about
I'm a big
John,
fan of foreshadowing.
Are you a big? Is that foreshadowing? Are you foreshadowing your excitement?
I don't know. I'm getting
For the
lost in the shadow.
There are 4 shadows.
3, 4, 5 shadows?
How many shadows are there?
Yikes.
1,
Don't
2.
Don't worry, listener.
There's
I
only
did it
4.
for you.
There's 4. I counted them.
4. Shouldn't there be 3 shadows?
No, because you have to foreshadow.
Yeah, but the 3 shadows, because it came before. But 3 shadows would be more complete.
Yeah. 4 is a little more even.
Triune. The triune shadow.
So foreshadowing is not of God. Superman.
Surprise! Happy birthday to you.
We're going to get flagged for that one.
Viewer. No,
Wait,
no,
that's public
it's-
domain now.
It is now, yeah.
Yeah.
Public domain. The sisters do not own it anymore. Do you know about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because wasn't it 2 sisters that wrote it?
Yeah, and then when they died, it went into a trust.
Yeah.
So it was like they wrote it, and then it went into a trust for another, I think, 70 to 75 years.
That's crazy.
And then so that's an interesting concept, though. So like if you wrote something, it's your intellectual property.
Yeah.
for 75 years.
Right.
And then it's anyone's
And then
property.
anyone owns it.
Yeah. It's weird that there's like a limit of like, all right,
Yeah.
now this is everyone's.
It's so strange.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Well, there's like,
But it also assumes that like
There's
what
that
happens
weird
if you're
idea even-
5 when you write it?
oh yeah, you won't even last your whole lifetime.
No, it would. I'm saying like
Maybe.
So then you're
Hopefully.
you're 80
Yeah.
and now it's public domain,
Yeah.
which I think they're just assuming you're going to be 18.
Probably. Like you won't make it that far.
Yeah. But
like
that
at
is
that
an interesting
point,
idea.
yeah. It's funny too. You don't think about like the song "Happy Birthday" when it's like everybody knows that song.
Yeah.
It's one of the most popular songs in the world,
Yeah.
and they just wrote it.
But if you've never heard this discussion before, the interesting thing about it, and I feel like people have talked about it enough, but so I won't belabor the point. But I won't belate the birthday point.
Belated birthday point.
A belated birthday point. But no, the interesting thing about that is like, think about any TV show or movie that you pretty much have ever watched.
Yeah.
None of them sing happy birthday.
Right.
So there's birthday scenes. Like, I don't know why the first...
Well, it's funny,
wait. What's the first birthday scene that pops into your head? Movie or TV show?
Oh,
This is
I
always
can
interesting.
picture it,
Okay.
but I can't
Who's in
remember
it?
which movie it is.
Is it your family or was it on a TV?
No, it was on the TV. Yeah. It's on the TV.
Oh, wait. That was my
but
fifth birthday.
it was like a home video recording.
Was it like...
I can't think of what movie it is.
Not the Hunger Games. The younger years?
No, I think
Wait, what's that show
I can
called?
think of it because there's like it's
The
one
Wonder
of those like
Years.
the Wonder Years.
You don't know that show?
No, I do. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I was like, not the new one, the old one.
Yeah, the
Okay.
Ridge. The Ridge.
The Ridge. Was it a Midwest setting? Like the middle? Malcolm in the
Yeah,
middle?
it was something like that.
Okay.
But it was like someone rewatching like a home video.
Was it in a movie?
Yeah.
Was it scary?
I don't think so.
Okay, good. Because the one that pops into my head, maybe what you're talking about is Liar, Liar. So there's a scene at the beginning of Liar, Liar where the kid wishes that his dad can't lie.
Oh, actually, that might be it.
And it's his birthday party.
That might be it.
That would be crazy if that's what you're thinking about.
I'll have to.
Because he's
look
late
up
to
that
the birthday
scene.
party and he comes
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
And then that's what sets off the whole movie.
That is a great movie, by the way.
It's a great movie.
The pen is blue. Blue.
That movie is wild.
That's a great movie.
I always like go back to the bathroom scene. He's just throwing himself all over the yeah.
What are you doing?
Jim Carrey.
So-
What a character.
Yeah, it's classic.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I was gonna say,
Okay.
I think what's cool about
Happy birthday?
I can't remember how we got on that.
I don't
topic.
either.
The Martyr, John.
Yes, okay. Wow, that was a deep rabbit trail.
I don't know how we got there. I forgot.
I don't either.
But you guys know.
They probably don't either.
They're like,
I'm not going to
they've
rewind.
got that'll be the most replayed part. Well, how did they get on this?
Only one person's going to do that.
It's true. It'll be us.
And then they're not going to
It'll
see
be
the
two
rest of it. Yeah, that's true. We'll do it together.
Like, wait, hold on.
No, on the same screen. We watch every episode together on our phones.
After we record it,
We just sit and watch it together. No, we wait for release day.
Oh, yeah.
Popcorn
At 4 a.m.
at 4 a.m.
But no, so
So John.
You know what's funny?
Paul?
John Paul.
Oh.
Jean Paul. It's funny because
French.
he had to bring up James the Great again, just to rub it in everyone's faces.
I know.
So John, he was present the day of Pentecost.
He was.
And why is that significant? Why is that interesting?
He was present for a lot
Foreshadowing.
of
That's
things.
how we did it. Foreshadowing.
Oh. 4 and then 3 and then
2 and then happy birthday.
it still doesn't make sense.
No, it did at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
don't know.
foreshadowing. Day of
so
Pentecost.
foreshadowing.
So anyway, foreshadowing. Pentecost is what's cool about that is, and we've talked about this on the podcast before. It's
Well,
that.
then we don't have to do it again.
Okay, we're done.
I'm just kidding.
3, 2.
No. Tell me. One. No, just kidding. It does it for us. We can't go back.
We're done.
Okay, so foreshadowing.
Time to write a song. Because it's a reversal from the splitting of nations and the separation of people by speech.
Day of Pentecost.
Day of Pentecost.
That John is present for.
Yes. But it's actually, Pentecost is a reversal of that separation that happened.
Yes.
Back in Babel, back in Deuteronomy 32.
Yes.
And this is a time where now everyone is able to understand one another again.
Right.
Because of the Holy Spirit coming down upon people.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think that's cool of a tie-in for what we're going to end up on later.
Okay.
But also the fact that it's like
end.
John is right there in that moment.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, I think that's what's so cool about it. So it's like he's part of this extremely historic event within Christianity.
Right.
Because that's even when we see this huge boom and uptick in people that start to follow Christ. Because that was such a huge expression, a huge moment.
Yeah.
To see the Holy Spirit coming down upon people.
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah, John's, I want to say he's like a titan, but that would be the wrong category. That would mean he's
a man of... No.
Wrong category. We haven't done an episode on titans yet.
No, that'll happen.
We keep hinting at it, though.
We do. We like
But
to tease.
John, awesome guy.
Yeah, cool guy.
So a little foreshadowing to what might happen after the song. You ready for a song, Paul?
I'm ready.
Paul? John Paul?
John Paul.
You ready for a song? 3, 2, 1. All right. Paul, you have a song for us.
I have a song for us.
I'm excited.
Me too. I feel like lately it's been like, you're like, hey, I've got some lyrics. Here, you play.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, I need to come
true.
with something now. I was like, I feel like I haven't brought any lyrics to us in a while.
Yeah.
So you inspired me last week.
Okay.
Where you're like, let me just write a bunch of words. And just try to fit them in.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's kind of cool. And then I like the idea of like making it topical for some of the stuff. So I was like, how do I do that Paul style?
Yeah, I like that.
Which also means let me take the lyrics and like try to tell a story, but do it in a very like obscure poetic way. Yeah. As well. So that's what I tried to do.
That's cool.
So we're gonna see how it plays out.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of different ways to songwrite.
Yeah.
But I feel like for the purpose of what we're doing, it actually helps to kind of just write out a bunch of like lyrics.
Yeah,
just like write a bunch of like kind of storytelling, like write a bunch of words that could be sung. And then if you have 100 words, you just kind of start playing.
Just try to break it up.
Start singing a melody and jump from word to word. Yeah. And eventually like you kind of land on something.
It's kind of cool.
Kind of put a puzzle together. That's a good way to like try and songwrite. Like if you're trying to like be a songwriter or try to write songs or you just want to do it for fun, like that's a good way to start doing it, is like just write a bunch of words down or write a story and then try to jump through the story with words that seem cohesive or lock in with each other. Yeah.
Which I love that.
In order to do that, you need a bunch of words. So like instead of trying to like if you're, and some people are, and there's different ways of approaching it, and depending on how you're writing and who you're writing with and what it's for, you can just be inspired by the music side of it. But if the goal is to like have something kind of quick, it's good to like write down just like what's the main idea. And I feel like a good example of that I always think of in that vein is like Paul Simon, 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. Where it's like the whole verses are just him telling you a story. Yeah. He's not even like really trying to rhyme anything. He's just like, let me just tell you what happened. Okay. And then the chorus is just, let me make these really cheesy rhymes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I mean, he's a good example of just like a lot of lyric content. Yeah, his phrasing is crazy. Yeah. That's cool. All right, so you got a song for us? Anyway, let's see how this goes. I almost want to like sit on this side, like be friends with the you're with people. Them now. Yeah. Well, so I've got 2 verses in a chorus. Cool. And if you're feeling something, you want me to jump in? Okay. If you want to, you're great. I feel like you're great at just be like, yeah, I got something. Well, just like jumping to an idea. But I mean, you'll have to hear it first. Yeah, let's do it. And so it's funny because I have them. We're recording with my phone right now, video-wise. We are. And I wrote all these down on my phone. So now I'm hoping that I can remember all these words. Okay. So, but it'll evolve from there. It will evolve. Yeah. Okay. We got audio? Yeah, we're good. Sweet.
right, here we go.
Sticks and dirt and
Oh, I got it now.
sticks and dirt and denim jeans, Edison's light and Franklin's key, beyond the basic man. But we've fallen behind from where we began. Radios and Netflix shows, we all know where this pot goes. We've lost the plot, gone to sleep. We follow the herd like senseless sheep. Are we myth or are we more? Are we human? Are we more than what we knew? A soul colliding with the body. We're part of more than we knew. And are we myth or are we more? Are we human? Are we more than what we knew? A soul colliding with the body. We're part of more than we knew.
That's what I have.
I love that, dude.
Sweet. Thank you.
So I think that what we should do is we should just do like a C. I hate saying it like this, like a C section. We should do a C section and rip the baby out.
That's some imagery.
You're welcome. No, I think what we should do is we should, in true fashion, which I feel like this is reminding me of several different things. But I sent you a song actually a few days ago, and this kind, like where you're sitting, is kind of reminding me of that song.
And you know what's funny? It may have like subconsciously just filtered into my brain.
Yeah, if you know the band Wheatus,
yes,
from the late 90s, that's what you just reminded me of. So if you don't know what we're talking about, it's fine. Don't look it up.
Don't. We know what we're talking
Yeah.
about.
And if you do, you're enjoying it.
If you know what that breath is.
Yeah. No, so so I think what we should do then, in like true fashion of the feel of this, is do everything you just did.
Nice.
And then take a quick break like you just did, and then jump back into your thing.
Okay.
And then we can just do like a vocalizing. Like an instrumental break with like a vocalizing.
Okay.
That's like a little yodeling a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Do you want to take the lead on that?
I'll take the break.
Okay.
And then when I'm done with the break, jump back into your hook.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah. Let's get a clean start.
Clean.
Sticks and dirt and denim jeans, Edison's light and Franklin's key. We've developed beyond the basic man, but we've fallen behind from where we began. Radios and Netflix shows, we all know where this point goes. We've lost the plot, gone to sleep. Like senseless sheep. Are we myth or are we more? Are we human? Are we more than what we knew? A soul colliding with the body. We're part of more than we knew. Are we myth or are we more? Are we human? Are we more than what we knew? A soul colliding with the body.
so cheesy.
So here we go. 3, 2, 1. All right.
What's up, Steve?
I like the energy of this,
Yeah,
this
me too.
episode.
I don't know if it was the walk or what, but I'm energized tonight.
I know. You know, it's funny. Like there is this, there's something that I've learned that I literally can be in the afternoon and be like, I could fully lay down and take a nap right now.
Yeah.
And then if I don't feel like I'm about to be sick, then I'll like, and what I mean by that is like, my body's too fatigued
Okay.
that I need to actually lay down. I mean, like I'm about to throw up or something.
Like,
No.
every day you're on the verge of like, am I gonna throw up today?
Oh, it's like 2:30, 3 o'clock. Am I gonna throw up now?
Someone flew up in the living room.
Hey, wife and kids. Someone threw up in the living room.
Who did it?
I was gonna say mom, but I don't live with my mom. Hey, other people that I also help take care of. Someone threw up in the living room, dude.
Someone flew up over there.
What are we doing, dude?
Can someone clean it up for me?
So, anyways,
why are we doing that?
I don't know. Just
That's so
it's
funny.
fun to make voices.
Yeah, it is.
I see why people do it. Like everybody else in the whole world, other
Pretty
than
much
Americans.
Everybody. Except for I don't have to pretend to make this accent. This is the one I'm stuck with.
Yeah, you have to listen to this one. No, so what I've learned is like if I actually just go out and run and like go for a run, then I come back and it's like, you know, by the time it's after dinner and it's like 8 o'clock, I'm like, how do I still have energy?
Yeah.
Like where did that come from? Because
It's like
around
just
3
moving your
o'clock,
body's like, oh, okay.
yeah, around 3 o'clock, I definitely could have taken like a 2-hour nap.
That's cool.
And then I went for a run instead. And then I feel great. Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Like now I'm in.
Yeah. It's the only way we can do these 4 a.m. podcasts.
It's so true.
Just got to run at 3
So we
p.m.
just had too much energy. So for the next
Yeah.
12 hours.
I know. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. I don't know
But-
how we do it.
No. But here we are. I like
Anyway.
the energy of it.
I've got a question for you today, tonight,
Oh.
this evening,
Woo.
this morning.
Ba ba ba.
I'll do every song but.
Ba 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 ba.
Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba.
How many buzz do you do?
Before the da.
Ba 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 ba.
Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-da.
Ba 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 ba
I
ba
can
ba.
count to this many.
What are we doing?
I don't know. Anyways, I have a question for you,
Okay.
but I need a second to set it up.
Are we foreshadowing?
1,
3, 4, 5 shadowing?
2. It's so stupid.
You need a second to set it up?
Just 1 second.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Here we go.
Okay, so we like words on this show.
Yeah, we do.
We're word people.
We like to play with them.
Yeah. And so I mean, in a lot of that, obviously, it revolves around language. We've talked
Makes sense.
ad nauseum, which is why you gotta puke every day at 3.
Oh, that does make sense. Okay. I'm just sick of myself.
You're like, oh, there's so many words.
By the middle of the day, I'm so sick of myself, I have to throw up.
So sick of all these words.
Who cares? Oh, I do. Let me go for a run.
Hey guys. Yeah. Gotta clear my head of all these words.
Yeah. So language.
Language.
We love words.
Love words.
Etymology.
Yeah.
This is gonna be
Okay,
a giggly episode.
It will be. Yeah. So have you seen? They've been popular, at least in my algorithm, on
the
You're
brosphere.
not on Instagram. Never mind. You might see it on YouTube Shorts though if you watch those.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm not on Instagram. Only on YouTube Shorts.
only YouTube Shorts.
No
Or
YouTube longs.
Facebook boomer.
I'm not on Facebook.
I know you're not, and I'm actually really jealous because I love that.
I hate Facebook.
I don't know why I can't. I think it's because I don't know. That's not important.
Facebook is like a website for a company that no one ever policed. So they just kept
Yeah.
adding things.
Yeah, it's true.
It's like, how many things can we add to one page?
but they got rid of Farmville, so like, what's the point?
Wasn't that like 30 years ago?
Yeah.
And Facebook's not even that old.
No. It's amazing what they can do.
Oh man.
Technology, man.
Yeah.
So
in your
but have you
algorithm,
seen these
brosphere?
videos?
We established that in an early episode.
Brosphere.
yeah.
But have you seen these videos where it'll be like 6 different squares,
Okay.
all the same color,
Okay.
except for one of them is a different shade.
I can imagine it.
Have you seen those videos?
Jackson Pollock.
Yeah. And so it's like there's a time, it's like 10 seconds, and you've got to choose, okay, which one of these squares is the different one.
I have not seen this.
You haven't seen these?
No.
Have you guys seen these? Am I the only one?
There's one right
Did
here.
I dream this? Okay, so let me explain it.
I like
did.
making Paul think, should I edit something in here? And then he just doesn't, or he does and just way overdoes it.
I'm like, so I've been on this episode for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Just had to blur out your left finger.
And I'm like, I was just joking about that.
Like, well,
Too bad.
I hit it too hard.
We're going to be 3 weeks late on this episode.
Yeah, we're way behind schedule. Your edit demands are way too high.
Yeah, that's all right.
So there's squares that you see on a screen.
Okay, 6 of them.
6 of them.
And only one is a different color?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not obvious, obviously.
Well, that's part of the question.
Okay.
So depending on, like, because a lot of times you'll see for, like, color blindness tests,
Got
like
it.
one of them will be, like, red and the other ones are green. And it's like, which one's a different color? And you're like, oh, that one. Like, if you're colorblind, you don't know. So it'd be stuff like that.
That seems psychological.
But then other times, there will be, like, okay, they're all green.
Okay.
And this one's, like, a slightly different shade of green or a different shade of blue. And it gets hard, like the hues get closer and closer.
Okay.
And so it's basically like, how far can you see the difference before you can't perceive it? Or it takes you too long to perceive it.
So are you like swiping?
It's like in a video, so it'll count down. Yeah. Yeah.
How old am I? Not old enough to be on Facebook.
This is a moving pictures.
I'm in like this weird gap where I'm like not old enough to be on social media, but too old to be on social media.
Yeah, that's true. That's funny.
It's like a weird gap.
You're in the middle.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't care, but I'm also older than most people that do care. But then the people older than me have social media, like the original social media.
Yeah, they just hung on. They didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't abandon ship.
That is one of I feel like this is my second Office reference. And if you caught the first one, tell me now. This is the second one.
Right in the comment.
Remember when Creed, it's in the first season. Creed wants to, or second season, I think. Creed wants to have a blog. So Ryan opens a Word document and just puts a URL at the top of the Word document. And then Creed opens it up every day and writes these crazy stories in this Word document. And he thinks he's publishing it, but he's not. He's just saving the Word document. And so Ryan, every once in a while, will open it up and read the stories.
That's amazing.
And it's he's like,
I don't remember that one.
And the whole premise is like, he's like, I don't want the world to get a hold of this information.
I also love that he's playing himself in the show.
Yeah.
Like, it's so good.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he's writing it. And Creed. Yeah. Creed was never supposed to be like in the show. He was supposed to be background. Yeah.
Oh, that didn't play out.
No, I think he interjected.
Too good of.
In the first season, and then they just kept him going.
It's incredible.
There's a couple of people like that on The Office, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's a different podcast. Office
Anyway.
Ladies. Shout out Office Ladies.
Thanks, Office Ladies.
What is it?
You're the backbone of the paper
Jenna
company.
Fisher and the accountant that's marries Dwight.
Oh, yeah.
Her name.
I know her name in the show.
It's the same.
Oh, Angela?
Angela.
Yeah.
Angela Johnson.
Hey.
Angela Johnson? I think that's a stand-up comedian. Anyways.
Anyway, shout out to you guys.
Shout out Office Ladies.
Leave us a like and a comment.
Come on the podcast.
Come on we can make Office references.
We can do it. We've seen it.
I've seen it a couple times. Anyway, language.
Okay.
For this show.
Yeah.
Martyr's Row.
That was more of an intro segment. Anyways.
Yeah. Anyways. Language.
I like it. Language.
So, here's what's interesting.
Okay.
So, language actually affects how we perceive color.
What?
And so here...
Oh, I've thought about this.
Yeah. So here's what's interesting.
Without social media,
There's,
I thought about this.
hopefully I'm saying this right.
Okay.
The Himba people
Himba?
of... Namibia
To-
in Africa.
Timon and Himba.
Yes, Timon and Pumbaa. They have more words for the color green, but less words for the color blue than we do in English.
I like where you're going with this.
And so they're able to distinguish
Words.
I'm thinking about throwing up on the coffee. Able to distinguish shades of green faster than we can, but they're slower at distinguishing shades of blue.
Because they've defined a deeper spectrum.
Yes.
Oh, that's really interesting.
And here's what's also interesting is in Russia, they have separate words for light blue and for dark blue.
Okay.
So they're actually much better at identifying.
Why don't they just say light or dark?
It's
Why
not
did
the
they say-
same.
I
Not
mean,
the same. So they're actually better at distinguishing shades of blue than we are.
Oh, so what you're telling me is that the dumb American English language has not just dumbed down the way we talk to each other and the way we sound,
Even the way we look at color.
but has also distorted our visual perspective of the world.
Isn't that interesting?
It's actually given us less.
Every language has. So it's like when we look at like the Himba people,
Yeah.
they can't see the color blue as well as we can, or like see the differences in blue.
Huh.
And so here's another interesting theory that I didn't write this down or look into this.
Okay.
But I've heard this, and it was the idea that back in like ancient times,
Yeah.
they didn't have a word for the color blue,
I've heard this.
and they weren't able to actually see the color blue because of that.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a strange idea. Because even when they describe like waters and stuff, it's colors like green.
Right. It's shaded of green.
Yeah.
And the truth is like the ocean, like more
Yeah.
saltwater stuff, especially deeper bodies of water,
It is more green.
it is more green.
Yeah.
And it's like deeper and darker shades of green.
Yeah.
But that's interesting though, because then, and then the premise of like the sky is color is reflecting the waters,
Yeah.
then their sky would make sense to be green as well.
Right.
But does
It's
that
a weird idea,
do
right?
they have less fresh water? Is that the whole thing?
I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Because we
they
literally
didn't
live
have,
in a
like-
town named after lakes.
That's true.
And like the thing is like maybe that I don't know.
But isn't that a strange idea, though?
It is.
Where it's like, we can perceive things differently based on our language. And so carrying that even further,
Okay.
I mean, it even affects the way we look at time, where there are certain cultures, like, so for English speakers, we view time as left to right.
Okay.
But in
Because that's how we read.
yeah,
Yeah.
but in China, they view time as up and down.
Because that's how they read.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to remember which culture it is. There's another one. They actually view, I think it's another tribe. They actually view time as forward and backward, where the past is actually forward and the future is backwards. And the reason for that is because the past is known, so you can see the past, but the future's unknown, so it's a mystery. It's behind you.
So the visual is that they're walking backwards into the future,
Yeah.
looking
With the
back
view of
on
the past. But then it's
That's
interesting is like the
fascinating.
way, because that affects the way we perceive time
Mm-hmm.
and how we like take risk,
Yeah.
because we're viewing everything so differently.
So the future's behind us
Yeah.
because we haven't seen it.
It's weird, isn't it?
Because our eyes face forward to the past that we've seen.
Yeah.
So that's interesting because it means that every culture, the way that they do things differently is consistent within the culture.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I feel like that's the whole thing of like even something as simple as like the metric system.
Mm.
So like when we go like, I don't even know what to compare. Like like is it meters to yards?
Like meters to feet is what people would normally do.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. But like I don't ever like I don't even know like so even that comparison is like
Yeah.
for us we're like why would we like meters are so dumb? Well, I think the reason why we would say that is because
We don't think that way.
right
Yeah.
because everything else in that we use all of
Yeah,
our
yeah.
systems all line up with that with measurements of inches and feet and
Yeah.
so it's like yeah there is a great
It's interesting.
there is a great that's the whole George Washington bit, the Nate Bargatze George Washington bit.
Yeah. That's
Uh,
that's such a good bit.
Yeah. That is one You should go watch because it's funny.
He's funny. Well, then
Yeah.
I have a third one as well here that I wanted to point out, and that's actually, there's 2 more I have.
Okay.
So one of them, it
One.
also changes how we view and describe objects. So, for example, in German, the word bridge is
Yeah.
considered feminine in the feminine case.
Because it's laying down.
And I don't know.
I felt like there had to
I
be a
don't know.
punchline there or something.
Yeah. And so when
Only because you set it up as German.
I guess
So it felt like I needed to like make it a punchline. I don't know.
But London Bridge, that one's fallen down.
But men also lay down. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't even
Like
know where
women
to, I
are
don't even know where to take that.
Well, like women serving, like they laid. I don't know.
You're gonna make this question I have for you today so much. It's making this so much better. I love
Oh,
it.
good. Good.
So because they view it as feminine, they would describe a bridge as elegant and graceful. But in Spanish, it's a masculine word.
Okay.
And so they'd be more likely to describe a bridge as strong and sturdy.
Okay, which is closer to how we would do it.
Yeah.
How would you describe bridge?
I feel like for me it would depend. Like I've never thought about even describing one.
Personally, I like mine over troubled water.
That was good. That was good.
I was hoping that was going to work out.
That was good.
I was like
Good
trying to get
callback,
the
too.
timing.
That's
and,
such a good
yeah,
callback.
Yeah. We're constantly talking about Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah.
But is that Paul Simon?
Hmm?
Okay, then why
Yeah,
would
yeah.
we talk about Simon and Garfunkel? Because it's Paul
Because
Simon.
Paul Simon.
If you're wondering, same people.
Well, then, before we get to the question, I have one more I wanted to share.
Okay.
Another interesting thing of how language affects our experience in the world.
Gotcha.
It's also how we experience emotion.
Okay.
And we've kind of talked about this before a little bit. But so I'm going to try to pronounce these
Don't
words.
you talk about my emotions.
Because I don't know how to.
I don't know. Am I a bridge or am I a lady?
Am I sturdy or graceful?
That makes more sense.
Yeah. Is it because I'm laying down?
That's the Southern question. I don't know. Am I a bridge or am I a lady?
This country's going downhill. Well, in German, they have a word, Schadenfreude, maybe that's how you say it,
Okay.
and it means it's the joy of seeing someone fail.
That's German?
That's their word to describe that feeling, the joy you feel when you see somebody fail.
Man, we need a word for that.
I know, right? Actually, the Germans have a lot of words for emotions that we have no word for.
Yeah.
There's another one, it's sisu in Finnish, which means extraordinary determination in the face of hardship. And the
Wow.
third one I have written here is toska, which is Russian. It means a deep melancholic longing. And you think
Toshka?
about that, it's like, I think so.
I like that.
But it's cool. It's
Toshka.
like, yeah, here are words that we actually don't have.
Yeah.
Concepts we don't have words for.
Right.
So it's like, it's hard for us to express those emotions
Yeah.
and understand them because we don't have language for it.
That's a good point.
And so it's like, language really does affect the way we experience, how we interact, how we view things, and how we think about things.
Yeah,
and how
that's
we plan
wild.
for things.
So it shapes even the color spectrum that we're able to perceive with our eyes.
Yeah.
And it also affects the range of emotions that we have because of what we can and can't articulate.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's wild.
So my question for you,
Okay.
what are you babbling on about?
Honestly, I'm just trying to figure out if a bridge is
I
feminine.
told you it
Should
was
I
a
walk
silly
on
one.
it?
Yeah, is that considered like,
Yeah, is it shameful?
is that shameful?
Don't walk on a woman.
No, don't. That's,
Don't walk on a woman.
they ain't no object.
Yeah. I like that view though, that a bridge is graceful,
Isn't that cool?
that it's somewhat delicate.
Yeah. Which is interesting for me. That's why
It's a humble way to approach it.
Because when I think of like the Golden Gate Bridge,
Yeah.
I would consider that more graceful and beautiful.
Yeah, but I feel like as soon as you say that, I think more about the weather around it
Yeah.
than the bridge itself.
Interesting.
So like I'm thinking more about the images of the clouds and the
Hmm.
like wind going through it.
Yeah, it kind of paints the full scene, but it's not
Yeah.
the thing itself.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting.
That's actually pretty fascinating.
So I think there's, and yeah, I like that. So it's like this, the ability to articulate things. So now I'm just babbling. Paul, help me.
Well, it's glad you talked about this.
This episode is sponsored by Babel.
Do you want to learn language?
I do.
Whoa. Well, so that's where it's interesting too, because we've been talking about myths a lot.
Should we actually do a Babel ad and just like send it to them and see if they'll sponsor us?
Let's do it. What would they like to say? Do you want to learn how to say hi in another language? Me too.
Like Chinese or like German
or German.
Brazilian.
Do you want to know how to
Brazilian?
describe the joy you feel watching someone
Portuguese.
fail? Learn German.
No one speaks Brazilian. They speak Portuguese
That's true.
in Brazil.
Do you remember that quote from
We're in the middle of a Babel ad.
George W. Bush?
I'm not sure if we could say that.
Yeah, probably
Anyways,
not. Anyways, Babel.
if you're planning that lifelong trip, that trip that you've always wanted to take
I've always wanted
far
to take this trip.
across the sea, over many, many delicate bridges. If you've ever wanted to do that, well, you need to be able to speak the language of wherever you go.
It's so true.
Because you don't want to pay $50 for something that only costs $5.
No, you don't.
And your language is important.
It matters.
So, go to babbel.com
Babel.com.
/Martyrs Row
Martyrs Row.
and get a 5% discount
Yes.
and a 1 to 3 month free trial.
Maybe.
We'll see. You, there in the other country, speaking the language that they speak.
Bonjour.
Brought to you by Babel.
Hopefully.
3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1. I hope they sponsor us.
Me too. We'll have to send them that. See if they like it.
Actually, we should do that.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if they're like, you need to throw this in, we'll be like, okay.
Yeah, we'll just edit it in.
After the snap, like, by the way.
We'll just redo a whole different Babel ad and just drop it right there in
They'll
the episode.
never know.
I know. We'll have to go back and be like, all right, what was I wearing?
If we're suddenly wearing like 3-piece suits in the ad read, you know it worked.
Because we never snapped into it.
Yeah.
So we'll only
just
snap
cut
out of it.
to us.
Just
It's a hard
cut to us wearing suits.
I'm going to crossfade
we
it.
should do that.
I'm going to crossfade it so we're just suddenly wearing suits slowly.
We start like fading in and out, and it's like, are they becoming ghosts? And all of a sudden we're wearing suits doing a Babel ad. Hey, Babel.
I say.
Well, now we're definitely babbling.
So now we're babbling. That was a babble.
That was just an example.
So now that you understand what Babel is, with our object lesson.
Well, because language is important to help us articulate the things that we're trying to understand.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
Babel.
Well, and so because of our conversation about myths that's been ongoing.
Yeah, honestly, I'm lost at this point. I don't know when we started it. And I don't know when we're going to end
like
it.
A year ago.
I don't know.
Maybe.
We'll see.
It might never end.
You decide.
They're like, it's been done.
Babel.com.
We're done. But when we look at the idea
/Martyrs Row.
For a 5% discount.
Maybe.
Fingers crossed. The offer is still undetermined.
Now secured on the FDIC. Babel.
Could cause death, but
Take with a neighbor next to you. What?
Do not share your Babel account with anybody.
Okay, Babel.
What was I talking about?
Babel.
What was I? Babel. Yeah, I forgot my intro.
You asked me why you were babbling.
Oh, yeah.
No, why I was babbling.
Why are you?
And then I took you on a rabbit trail of babbling for a long time, honestly.
It's pretty good.
At this point, I think everyone understands where we
This
are.
is the least watched section now.
No, this might be our highest viewed episode.
It very well could be.
It could.
Yeah, this making my nose run from the laughing. Babel.
Why are you babbling, Paul?
I lost my plot.
I lost the plot.
I lost the plot.
Oh, liar.
The pen. Oh, myths.
Yeah.
Myth.
There we are. We've
Yeah.
been in myth so long, I don't know where we are.
We lost it. Well, so it's interesting when we look at the idea of language, and how different languages shape how we experience the world
Yeah,
and how we interact with it.
sure.
And so the differences that we've been seeing in these myths, but also the similarities, I think we can the differences could in some ways be explained by the fact that language changes.
Okay.
And so what is important, or the details people pay attention to, is changing because their language to interpret what is happening has changed.
I see what you're saying. So, like, as time goes on and as people, oral tradition, telling stories from generation to generation,
Yeah.
even how the Bible talks about that, like, we'll speak of your goodness from generation to generation. Well, from generation to generation, they might be going from Hebrew
Yeah.
to Aramaic
Yeah.
to Greek to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's
absolutely.
after Greek?
Latin.
Sure.
Sure.
If you will.
If you will.
And then
King James Babel.
and then American English.
Yeah.
Goes from Latin to American English. Yeah. Old English, Middle Ages, Dark Times, Plagues.
Yeah. Into good times.
Yeah.
Maybe.
King James.
King James.
And then
King James only.
the New Jerusalem,
Yeah.
which is North America,
Which
the United
is,
States.
It's the promised land.
Yikes.
The amber waves of grain,
The sea to shining sea.
which may be green.
Huh.
Uh-oh.
Does it say blue in that?
I don't
Let's
think
not sing the
doesn't.
song.
I don't think it describes the color.
Okay. Yeah.
Shining.
Shining. Yeah.
Interesting.
Sea to shining sea.
Interesting.
The shining ones.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Anyway, so I've got some more myths for us.
Okay.
Can you guess what they're about?
Ziggurats.
Actually,
I wanted to throw you a curveball.
yes.
I wanted to introduce a new word.
That was good. I liked it.
We've been saying Babel a lot, so I thought,
Babble, babble, babble.
What Babel do I know? I know a ziggurat.
I quit. I quit those.
I got a whole pack of them.
A whole pack of ziggurats.
Oh boy,
Oh, man.
got to break the habit.
Anyway, do you want to hear some myths about Babel?
Babel
so-
myths,
Babel myths.
ziggurat myths.
Babel. Well, so here's I guess really what they are is it asks the question in attempts to answer the question of why do we have different languages
Got it.
and why do we have such diversity?
Yeah.
Because I mean, it is an interesting thing where linguists have actually shown and seen that there is.
They've shown and seen.
Let me say that a different way.
They've seen and shown.
Well, they have, let's say, theorized.
Expressed.
They've expressed interest in this idea. No, they've theorized from a lot of different types of studies of languages over time.
Yeah.
That it all originates from one language.
Okay.
But because of differences in region, isolation, trade, language has changed. That's their theory.
Gotcha.
And because of that, we've gotten into where we are now.
Yeah.
But then it does make you ask the question like, yeah, except for some of these languages are so different.
Right.
And it's like, where did that come from? But what's interesting is a lot of different cultures, ancient cultures, have explained why it is the way it is and why it happened.
Okay.
And so these...
But they do it through myth.
They do. And so these are their myths about...
why their language is different.
Why are there so many different languages and why are people in different areas?
Okay, that makes sense because I remember learning that like English is an offshoot of what would be called categorically a Germanic language.
Yes.
And so like there's that offshoot that kind of a lot of European languages come out of the Germanic.
Yeah.
I guess syllable pronunciation, I don't know.
Yeah, I know what word you're looking for, but I can't think of it.
Yeah, but
My language is shot.
but I don't remember like all the categories. And honestly, I don't there's just a bunch of different categories.
Yeah.
So at some point that all split off. And kind of what you're saying is a lot of people would go back to the fact that there was one key point and everything shoots off of that.
Yeah.
And then it branches out from there.
And because like there are greater like families that languages would fall into, like language families.
Right.
But even amongst all languages, in a lot of studies they've done, they've seen that there are words that are similar, and even like there are patterns that we see in every language, like grammar, syntax, and it's like there's so many similarities.
Yeah.
That it's like, all right, there seems to be some kind of commonality here.
Basic structure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also wonder if
yeah.
like, because like the way that the Earth is structured, like you have, what's it? Not Capricorn. What's the equator?
The Capricorn.
What's there's like a line, something Capricorn. Someone knows. It's a horizontal line that goes across the Earth.
I think of the Coriolis effect.
Nope, not that. It's like the something of Capricorn. Anyways,
I think I know what you mean.
the equator.
Yeah.
The equator. The equator.
The equator.
That's how you say it in the South. The equator. Different things happen at the top and on the bottom.
Yeah.
And so like they say because I've never been to Australia, but the idea that like when you flush the toilet, it spins the other way. Yeah. And then also like you have like summer, winter, opposite times.
Right.
I wonder if some of that plays into like Asian, the way that they're reading and the way that they're perceiving.
Well, because they're north of the equator like us.
Right, but they're on the opposite side of the world.
Oh, true.
So like I wonder if placement on the Earth creates a different perspective because of like where you are in relationship to the sun and the moon.
Yeah, that's interesting.
What I mean?
Yeah.
That like it's potentially more natural for somebody on the other side of the world to read right to left versus left to right because their toilet goes backwards. You know what I'm saying though? Like that's a silly way to say that.
No, I don't. I know what you're getting at.
But
though.
it like kind of makes sense.
I know what you're getting.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I think
but even Hebrew
is
right to left. It's not left to right.
Right.
Which is weird because like I have a Hebrew Bible and I don't know which way to open it. Like I have to open it wrong.
The way you think you shouldn't. Yeah.
Yeah, and it feels like all the pages are like they're printed too close to.
Just so strange.
Like maybe
so
a Westerner printed that one.
Yeah.
And so like all the text is a little bit too far right. I don't know.
That's so interesting.
It's weird. But yeah.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So myths, why their languages are unique the way that they are.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is I'm going to start as normal with the Hebrew myth.
Okay.
Which we're familiar with.
Yeah.
At least most of us will be familiar with. And then kind of let's take that as our control myth.
Yeah.
And then compare the other ones to it.
But we're not saying that Hebrew was the first language.
No.
In fact, we would.
But maybe. Traditionally, like in Christian tradition, they would argue that, or even in Jewish tradition, they would argue that Hebrew was the original.
Sure.
Or at least as closely related as you can get to the original language.
Yeah, because Yahweh in Genesis speaks in Hebrew.
Yeah, and we have it written down that way.
That's because the guy who wrote it down spoke Hebrew.
I thought you were following along. I was playing along with you.
I just didn't want a listener to be like,
oh, that's fair.
Oh, yeah, God did speak
Hebrew.
Hebrew.
Oh, that does make sense.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah.
We don't know that.
No, yeah, we don't know. We don't know what they spoke.
But that's part of the theory behind it.
But like side note, like the telepathy tapes, do you know about this?
No, what are those?
So like there's high functioning.
Is this Conspiracy Corner?
Maybe?
It's borderline because I think I know what you might be
There's
talking
like high functioning autistic.
I know exactly what you're talking about now.
Children that they've seen can communicate and see and perceive things through their parents, through their moms specifically. And some of them start to be able to be verbal and have chosen to not be verbal because they start to lose that ability.
It's crazy.
Yeah, which is an interesting thought when you start to look at like Adam and Eve in the garden.
Yeah.
Like were there audible sounds made to communicate or was that not necessary?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what was the language of Babel?
Yeah.
was it actual audible sounds?
Or is it telepathic?
Yeah.
That's an interesting idea.
And that
Yeah.
feels like a conspiracy, but it's not that crazy to think, like, it's not that crazy to think that you could nonverbal communicate.
True.
Because we do it all the time.
Yeah, in
It's
subtle
just-
ways.
Yeah. Well, we do it even with our audible noises that we're making,
Yeah.
which makes sense to our brains,
Yeah.
but just think about hearing
Well,
someone else.
me going,
Right.
like that tells you something.
But even if just now I didn't go right, if I just went,
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
yeah, so
Yeah.
so there's a ton of stuff like that. I mean, it wouldn't be great for podcasting. You know what I mean? It might be fine for
Imagine
video.
it's just absolute silence, but everyone understands it.
Yeah, and we're just talk. It's like telepathy podcast.
We'll go into. I'll edit in some telepathy noises.
Silence.
Boop, 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 boop. We're like, I don't know how.
No,
it
it's just
sounds.
like, and then we're talking the whole time. I bet that if you just sat, if you just sat, because that's the whole thing about like they say that like when you really have spent time with somebody, you really love somebody, a sign of that is you can take a car ride and never say a word.
Interesting.
But
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I've been married for 10 years, and in that time there's been a ton of experiences where I realize I'm not saying anything, and I realize the space, the air between us is troubled.
Interesting.
And then I go, all right, let me try and formulate this. How do I approach this discussion and resolve the tension in the air?
Yeah.
That's like, there's a nonverbal issue.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but it's present and I can feel it.
That's interesting.
So like that, but that exists all the time.
Yeah, because I think, you've been a part of them sometimes, I think. We've done like remote podcasting.
Yeah.
Even if you've done like a Zoom call with somebody.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so different doing it even that way versus being in the room with that person.
Absolutely.
Because there's a feeling you can pick up from somebody.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, like it makes more sense. It's easier.
Yeah. Well, and
Like
that's
it's easier to communicate.
There's a whole, like, this would be like conspiracy side, but not really. I mean, it's like the aura element of
Yeah.
the conspiracy side would be like
The language that we're using right now can make it sound more mystical than it really is.
Well, what I'm about to say is like modern conspiracy discussion, even though a lot of it is factual data.
Yeah.
Which is like the 6 feet apart, like keeping humans 6 feet apart, was detrimental to our communication.
Yeah.
And need to feel that close interaction with other people.
Yeah.
Right. So like because of that, it kept us at a distance and made us more isolated. And the more isolated we were, the more isolated we are, the less connectivity we have to anything and everything.
Yeah.
And so like there's an issue there where it's like that's why long distance relationships are not great.
They're harder.
Yeah.
So much harder. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to work a lot harder because the feeling's not there.
Yeah.
And even if you talked every day to somebody, the way you felt in person is going to be different the next time if it's been a year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So like that's kind of the weird thing is like there's so much nonverbal stuff that we don't quite acknowledge. And some of it is the lack of language for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like the simplicity of language and the lack of language for certain things that are nonverbal. That's why it's like there's so much of the way that we communicate and the way that we talk and the way that we interact has like I just think about like if you're a guitar player, like part of it is just playing the guitar. The other part of it is the pedals you're playing through, the amp that's producing the sound, the actual air that's being moved by the speaker. Like all of those things play a part in somebody else hearing you play, as well as you hearing yourself play.
Yeah.
And if you take away all of that and you just grab an electric guitar and play it, it feels awful. But if you plug it in, all of a sudden it comes alive.
Yeah. I mean, you think about even someone who's extremely skilled in in playing.
Yeah.
you can like feel their emotions in
Right.
their fingers.
Yes.
Not touching their fingers, but I can hear them.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I can hear your emotions being filtered through your fingers to the guitar, through the amp,
Yes.
coming to my ears, and I can understand what you're feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. And like one of the things too is like a good way to think about this is if you've ever been excited to meet someone and you're nervous because you want to say the right things.
Yeah.
The truth is it actually matters way less what you say and how much you yourself are being you yourself non-verbally in the presence of the other person. They're going to remember that, and they're also going to feel that coming towards them way before, and that's going to carry with them way after anything that they could remember you saying.
Yeah.
Like, people don't really remember what you said in your interaction unless it's recorded and they can go back and watch it.
Yeah. Which they can for
or
us.
listen. I know, or listen to it. But like, really, a first interaction has way more to do with, like, are you being you?
Yeah.
Because if you're bringing an energy to the person that is
not
you, then you're not presenting it doesn't matter what you're saying.
Yeah, because it's like, can you be comfortable in the same space together?
Right.
Yeah.
You're already saying so much.
Right.
So Babel myths.
So other people have tried to explain this before.
But I feel like that was important to take that tangent just
was.
because there's a through line of like all of these languages, all of the languages that we have.
Yeah.
There's a big part of it that's nonverbal.
Yeah.
And it's expressed in verbal form that follows a similar structure regardless of what language you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I think that's because the nonverbal
and I'll even
has
say
a lot to do with it.
There is still like a universal part of language.
Sure.
Or communication, let me say that way.
Yeah.
That transcends language.
Yeah.
And I mean, if any of you have ever been in a country or speaking with someone that you don't understand, like you don't speak the same language, there's still a way you can learn to communicate with that person, given that you're both willing and you have the time to. Yeah. And it's like, I think of my time like being in China. And it's just like, oh, eventually it's like I learned how to communicate decently with some of these people because we didn't obviously speak two completely different languages and our viewpoints are so different of how we interact with the world.
Yeah.
But we got to a point where speaking no language could understand what each other was trying to say. Yeah,
and that's grace and kindness.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's like genuine human to human loving an interaction with someone who is also a human. It's like
absolutely.
Just a basic human to human interaction.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't, but that's what I mean. So like, I don't know, that type of stuff is very, very interesting to me. So
it's very interesting to me as well.
All
cool.
the Babel myths.
I can see you eyeing them.
Yeah, I'm interested.
So I'm going to start with the Hebrew one.
Okay.
And we're going to kind of work our way through.
Okay.
Because, I mean, it is the first language in it. I'm kidding.
Yeah. I mean, God spoke it.
It was written down.
Right. Well, we know for sure God did speak Hebrew at some point.
At some point.
And by that, I mean, he spoke to Hebrews who spoke Hebrew.
Yeah.
And spoke in their language.
Yeah.
And then we read that passage where Jesus appears to Paul, or he appears to Saul.
Yeah.
And Saul later says he spoke to me in Hebrew.
In Hebrew, yeah.
Which is cool.
So it's cool. He must have been.
And we know that because he called him Saul.
Babbling.com lessons.
But we know that because he called him Saul.
Yeah.
Because Paul was his Greek name.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Go back and watch that one.
It's a good episode.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So Hebrew,
okay,
the first language spoken by God.
We got to bomb through these now, too.
No, we're good.
Are we good? Okay.
I don't know.
Well, you'll enjoy it. This is what you're here for.
Here we go. This is the language episode.
Humans built a tower in Babel to reach the heavens. God, displeased with their arrogance, confused their languages. People scattered across the earth, forming different nations. So that's the summary, clear-cut Tower of Babel Hebrew story.
Okay. Yeah, that's cutting everything out.
Yeah, I'm cutting out all the.
Yeah.
I'm kind of doing this every single one of them, so I'm showing this as kind of like the. I'll show you the level of detail I'm doing with.
Didn't we
these.
already do an episode on Nimrod?
We did.
Did we do it on Nimrod?
Yeah.
Or did we do it on Freemasonry?
I think it was both.
You're gonna have to tell us.
We might have been 2 episodes. At this point, I don't remember.
Well,
we'll find out.
it's all one and the same.
But so I mean, that's kind of the level of detail I'm going with because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
I just kind of picked 10 of them.
Yeah.
And
that basically the Hebrew tradition is that the Bible tells us that there's a common language.
Yeah.
And it basically tells us that at the point of Babel.
Yeah.
Which is Genesis 11.
Yep.
And then the confusion of language happens.
Mm-hmm.
And,
and the reason why.
I'm interested what the language before was.
Yeah.
And I'm interested if it was something that was nonverbal.
It's
because I feel like it's highly probable.
It's possible. But that's one of the things like we can't know on this side of Earth, at least.
Yeah, and that doesn't feel like that shouldn't feel new age. That's kind of why I went on the tangent before.
Well, even then, it's like we don't even know what like early language sounded like.
Right.
You know, it's like because and the reason we don't know that. Well, first, like, we have no idea what Mesopotamian sounded like 'cause we've never heard it. We don't know what Egyptian sounded like.
True.
We can guess.
Right.
With the best we can. But even then, it's like there's so many languages that have been lost.
Yeah.
And even dialects and iterations of languages that we don't know.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, think about in the short time that we know the English language and how much it's changed and adapted and sounded different.
What is cool about Hebrew, though, is people still actively speak it as their main language.
That is true.
Which is very cool.
Yeah.
So, like, particularly if you go to Israel, there are people that only speak Hebrew.
Right, which is cool.
It is cool.
Yeah. But, yeah, so then jumping to another fan favorite, Mesopotamia.
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 Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia.
Mesopotamia.
Foreshadowing.
So, King Enmerkar.
We did it 4 times. That's why.
Of Uruk. Oh, that's good.
Sorry, go ahead.
That is good foreshadowing. King Enmerkar of Uruk wanted to build a great temple and unite all people under one language.
Uruk. Is that similar to Ur?
No, I think it's 2 different places.
It is.
Yeah.
But Mesopotamia.
Similar. Mesopotamia. So the god Enki.
Mesopotamia.
Mesopotamia.
Brought to you by Babel.
Babel.com. / backslash?
Forward, backslash.
One of them. Slash.
All the slashes.
Just
say all the slashes.
Try them all.
And then Martyr's Row. That might open a portal.
I hope not. A good
portal.
Okay. To more episodes.
It's just how we reroute people to our website.
Yeah, it'd be so good, actually.
The god costs
Enki,
a lot of money.
That would be expensive.
Sorry, go ahead. Mesopotamia.
The god Enki, fearing human power.
You almost did it again.
I did. Confused their speech. The project failed and linguistic division began. So that story sounds almost identical, does it not?
And Enki
is
the creator god. No, Marduk. No, Enki.
Well, yeah, so Marduk is the one who slayed Tiamat.
Right. Tiamat's the creator god.
No, that's the dead sea serpent.
You're right.
Wait, but I am curious.
I'm getting my myths all mixed up.
We've gone through a lot of them.
I'm
going through my own classified documents.
Well, I'm thinking about because and go back and watch the episodes leading up to this one, because we go through creation myths and things like that.
Well, so it's what's interesting about this too, and I wanted to verify, because Enki was also the one who warns man about the flood.
Right. That's what I was getting
He warned Utnapishtim about the flood. But then he's like, yeah, I don't like you guys' power, so I'm going to mess up your language.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fascinating. It's the same god.
Yeah, which is similar in the Hebrew tradition.
Yeah, except for Enki's not the one who sent the flood. That was Enlil who sent the flood.
Enlil.
Oof.
He's a little bloated.
But so far, it's like, okay, this is actually like almost identical
to
the biblical story. So now we're going to jump to...
Which Hebrew and Mesopotamian...
They're very
very
related.
Close.
I mean, we're talking about Samaria. So
right.
It's like, yeah, they're
Ancient Turkey, yeah.
next to each other.
Yeah. To be fair, that's where Noah was.
Yes, so it would make sense.
It's where Abraham comes from.
They would have the closest relating myths.
It's where John writes Revelation in northern Mesopotamia.
Bum, 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 bum. That one is a real song.
Yeah, you did it. Good job.
Thanks. So Aztecs.
Ooh, I like Aztecs.
Yeah. Yeah. This one's actually interesting, too, because it's also a flood myth.
Okay.
All tied together.
Nice.
So a great flood destroyed humanity, leaving only Cox and his wife. Children born speaking different languages. You know. Their children are born speaking different languages. This prevented communication and led to human dispersion. Now, I want you for a second to
That's kind of easy to believe.
Just think about that.
It's kind of easy to believe, though.
They gave birth to kids, and they're just like, yeah, we're speaking different languages now.
Oh, I heard that as the kids came out speaking different languages.
Yes. Like their kids were born speaking different languages.
No, I don't know why I just went to Pete and repeat.
Pete fell out.
Who is left? Repeat. Well, let's say John and Sally come out, and John is speaking a different language than Sally.
Oh, you think
That's how
like
I
the
heard
husband
it.
and the wife?
Nope. These are the kids.
Yes.
John, Sally, the kids.
Yeah, came out being born, meaning born.
They came out being born. They've been born.
They've been born. Yeah.
No. They came out, and they spoke different languages from each other.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that's how I heard it.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much though.
But they came
So, like,
out speaking the same language, but different from their parents. Or now all of a sudden there's 3 languages.
Yeah, pretty much.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like all these kids started to come out, and there's like, we're all speaking different
How many
languages.
kids?
I don't know.
I thought it said 2.
No, it doesn't say 2.
Oh.
It just says children born.
Okay. Okay.
There were 2 people that were survived the flood.
Got it. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's theirs, which is like throws the flood myth all in it right there and then too, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, but even in the Hebrew tradition, in our tradition, the flood precedes Babel pretty closely.
The only thing that's different with this one though is that there's a couple things different. This one is probably the most different out of all the other ones as well.
Okay.
Compared to the biblical story, in that it has nothing to do with a tower, and there's not a divine being that changes their language.
Yeah, but potentially they come out of a divine being.
Potentially.
Right?
Yeah.
So, like, because the Aztec, is that a king?
It doesn't say.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's just their myth.
Yeah. Yeah. And now.
Probably seen as a godlike figure, though.
Another favorite of yours, the Mayans.
Mayans.
So early humans spoke one
Mesopotamia. Mayans.
Now the Mayans. Early humans spoke.
Now we're in inside jokes.
They'll have no idea.
It's fine.
It's fine. You can rewind it.
We did that in the songwriting.
Yeah, that's true.
Go ahead. Mayans.
Early humans spoke one language. The gods, fearing their wisdom, caused them to speak differently. Confusion separated them into different groups.
Confucius.
He's a time traveler.
Confusion. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So same.
So that one's like the same story.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of funny.
Except there's a council there.
A lot of these, yes, they're multiple gods.
But not necessarily except. Potentially very similar.
And then it's so funny with some of this, like, so this one, it's called like the African myth.
Okay.
But it's like there's a lot of tribes in Africa. So this is really like a culmination of some of them.
Okay.
All people shared one language. A god, either in anger or to prevent unity, changed their speech. It's up to you. They were forced to spread across the land. So it's like, oh, so that's the same one.
Yeah.
And so that's where it's interesting with these. And I'll read the rest of them here, but it's like,
I do like that you bring up Aztec and Mayan because they're also different time frames.
Yes. And
so,
I
like,
also
Mesopotamia
like that
and the Hebrew one are pretty close
yeah.
time-wise, but yeah.
And I love bringing up them especially because they're on a whole other side of the planet.
Yeah. And other side of the equator.
Yes.
Equator.
Equator.
Yes.
The equator.
They
But
on
it's
the
like
other
even,
side of
but
equator.
it's like even for them, it's like, oh, their story is the same.
Yes,
That's interesting.
it is. Yeah.
And so that brings us to Indian, not Native American.
Back to the other side of the
India.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they were trying to go.
Yes.
Early.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Yeah, isn't that kind of.
Well, Columbus.
Columbus was trying.
The Spaniards.
Yeah, he tried his best.
Yeah.
Early humans spoke one language in harmony. Divine curse or cosmic event fragmented their speech.
Again, you decide.
It's up to you. Division led to cultural and linguistic separation.
So same.
So same.
Yeah.
And this is Greco-Roman, which means
Okay.
Greek and Roman together.
Yep.
Man, this is a big word.
Words are important, Paul.
Gigantomachy?
Gigantomachy.
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 Which is a war between gods and
Tomachy.
giants.
A war between gods and giants.
Yeah.
That's a great word.
This divine punishment resulted in human division from the outcome of this war.
Okay.
Some interpretations link it to the fragmentation of languages.
Well, that would push back to Zeus
Yes.
and Saturn, and who's the creator god? It would be Saturn, right?
Yeah. Or is
I don't
it
know why I'm forgetting that.
Is it Cronus? Wasn't him.
No.
That was Zeus's dad.
Yeah. Kronos.
Yeah.
It might be him. Anyways.
Maybe it's him. But yes. So it's like there's this huge war going on in here. And then as a result of that, people get cursed.
Yeah. It's funny because the Greek myths give us way more pictures of sons of God.
Yes. Because
Like they really live in that
space. They talk a lot
space.
about giants.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and there's this war, and there's there's celebration, there's all this stuff happening in the sky.
Yes.
And there's somehow the Greek culture is like privy to.
Yeah.
That's part of their tradition, which is really interesting.
Well, and that's part of what I was kind of alluding to earlier, because we've talked about this in other myths before.
Yeah.
And it's like which details each culture chooses to focus on.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, well, I think a lot of that has to do with their language and tradition.
Right.
It's like, well, what do they think is important? And obviously for the Greeks and Romans, the focus on gods and giants was very important to them.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, and you
that
see
was
that
central
in their
to
art
their
and everything.
yeah, central to their culture.
Yeah, for sure.
Whereas for some of these others, it's like it really wasn't.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, like we've seen in the past with the Mayans, everyone just runs off and turns into monkeys.
Wild.
It's kind of wild.
Wooden people without souls.
Yeah, you're like, wait, what?
Yeah. At this point in the podcast, you're like, what are you guys talking about? Go back and listen to the last
Go back.
episode.
Yeah, you'll thank us later.
It'll make sense.
It'll make sense.
Yeah.
If they're jumping into this,
We're trying to make you more cultured.
Yeah.
Trying to understand the world
Expand
more.
language.
Yeah. Yeah.
A linguistic expanse.
A larger picture or larger worldview is good for your brain. Mostly it's good for your heart.
And you're going to laugh at this next one.
I'm here for it.
But I think this is how you pronounce it.
Oh, no.
So this is the Chinese myth.
Oh, I thought you were going to try and pronounce Chinese different.
Well, I'm going to try to pronounce this word the way I think it should be pronounced.
Okay.
The Meow people.
I was trying to figure out why that was funny.
Because I'm used to saying Mao. And
Mao.
They threw an I in there. It's like meow.
Meow?
Meow.
Meow.
Yeah.
Meow. I think it's more like meow. 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 Meow.
Meow.
Yeah. Either way, it sounds like a cat.
Anyway, it does. It sounds like a cat.
Sorry if that's offensive, but
It sounds like a cat. It's a cool word.
it is a cool word. I like it.
It looks really cool. I like it actually. Meow people. The kitties.
I think that's it.
The little kitty cat people.
No, keep going.
They built a great tower to reach the sky. Angered gods destroyed it and confused their language. People dispersed across different regions.
Okay, so exactly Tower of Babel.
Yes.
Cool.
Exactly.
But like Chinese architecture, a lot of their stuff looks like ziggurats.
Yes.
Like even the way that they build homes and like temples and things like that, they
Well, even
all look
the way
like
they draw dragons even is the same as Mayans and Aztecs do.
Yeah, we should
Or
get
is that
into
more serpent-like?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Also, do you know what year it is?
Officially or
Officially. Based on the
2025?
No. Based on the Chinese calendar.
Is this year of dragon?
It is the year of the dragon.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. You know how I knew that?
Because you looked it up?
Nike.
Nike!
Or Nike, as some people pronounce it. I don't know how.
But you know what word is pronounced
Oh,
right?
by the way, I looked that up.
Oh, yeah.
So the reason why you would say Adidas is because the guy who invented it, his name was Adi Das.
Oh, are you serious?
Yes. But it was like Adi Dawson something. Dawson
so somehow
something.
I pulled that out of
something. It's the beginning. It's his first name and the beginning of his last name that makes Adidas.
Interesting.
So I think Adidas is actually would be the German pronunciation.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah. So you're not wrong.
Not completely.
But you did grow up in America. So I've never heard anyone seriously say Adidas.
I don't know why I said it, to be honest.
I love it.
Because I was so convinced in the moment, but then now I'm like, I've never said that before.
But the reason why I looked it up.
I was like, I've only said Adidas. So I don't know why I said that. And
that's fascinating.
And I was just like, yeah, of course that's how it's pronounced.
So that was the first time you pronounced it that way?
I think so.
And you were just set on it.
And I was like, that's it. I don't know why.
That's amazing. But the reason I looked it up is because I mentioned that it was a German company that was originally sports athletic apparel for Nazi Germany.
Oh.
And that actually is true.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. So like it was
those guys were snappy.
It was
dressers.
something like in my mind I'm picturing that it was originally like developed sports gear in like 1919, something like that in Germany. And then in the 1940s is when it evolved into this company by that guy.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, Adi Dawson something.
Dawsonheimer.
Something.
Yeah.
Dawsonheimer.
The Dawson Schlugen.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
But go on.
Okay, that's fascinating. That is fascinating.
Babel myths. We have like a couple more?
I got two more for us.
Perfect.
So the Polynesian one.
Okay.
Early Polynesians built an enormous structure. The gods, displeased, destroyed it and changed their speech. People scattered across islands. And so I'll finish up here and then I'll let us go off on this.
Well, I guess Indonesia, they have islands.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that makes sense.
So this is Native American. And again, it's funny. It's like Native American is not one tribe, but this is a culmination of a lot of their myths.
North America.
Yes.
Yeah.
North American myths. Long ago, people spoke one language. Supernatural forces divided their speech, resulted in different tribes and nations. And so what's fascinating to me about this series of myths, like this myth of where all these languages come from,
Yeah.
and how it differs from the creation myths and the flood myths that we've gone over, is there's been more diversity in those other two.
True.
But this one is almost unanimously the same point for point details.
That's a good point.
And I find that particularly interesting. And I wonder if it's because people are closer to that event at the time. And so like that one is just like, oh yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and
like
it's
there are just more people that remembered it. Because you think, so if we believe in the flood,
yeah,
in the flood story, it's like, well, only 6 people could remember that.
yeah.
And that story would have to be passed down. But if you're talking about Babel, where there's thousands, potentially millions of people at that time,
yeah,
probably in the thousands, there's thousands of people to remember that story.
Yes. Yeah, well, and not just that, but like if you use the Hebrew tradition, if you look at the Genesis account,
I guess it would be 8 people, wouldn't it? I forgot. kid.
Well, it depends also. Do animal species have memory?
Yeah. But I don't think they talked. But no, I said 6 people survived the flood, but it was 8.
Well, if pre-Babel it was telepathy, then
Oh, true.
language can cross.
That's true.
Yeah. So if you look at the Genesis account, you go Genesis 1 to Genesis 10. That's a lot of time.
Yes.
So that's the thing is like, as you, and we've talked about this before, but as you look at the Bible, the Hebrew scriptures and the Greek scriptures and the Aramaic scriptures, all, trying to encompass the whole 66 books. As you look at it, it's like it starts out with a lot of time, and then it slowly goes into more real time, and then things kind of slow down as you get towards the end.
Yes.
So it's like a bunch of compressed things all at once, and then it kind of slows down and comes into real time.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah.
because of that, a lot of that, like the highest time lapse really happens between Genesis 1 and Genesis 10.
Oh, yeah.
So like
There's a ton of time in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like so by the time you get to Genesis 11, you get to Tower of Babel. At that point, we're pretty far into everything that set it all up and why we're here. Yeah. Right? So like there's not another Babel instance until Acts, the book of Acts.
Yes.
So because of that, you basically have this ending point where like all the stuff that was happening before, this is kind of the final piece of that before you step into all right, now everybody is not living 100 or 800 years.
Right.
Everybody's starting to like live within the 100-year framework. People are starting to like go all out over the earth. Like all of this stuff is starting to really happen. That looks like kind of stewarding and taking care of the whole earth. Yeah. So like that's kind of that Tower of Babel moment is kind of more true to all cultures in a tangible way.
Yeah, that's very true.
The same way that like you would look at the Quran and a lot of the beginning of it is very, very similar, and then it breaks off around Abraham. Yeah. It's not identical, but it's very similar.
There's a lot much similarity to it.
Yeah, and then it really breaks off.
And that, I mean, that would make a lot of sense too. Because, it gets closer to the writers. Right. And what's happening in their life.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, so they're more in real time, or they're closer to it.
Yeah, because I mean, even if we take the like biblical ages, pre-flood, I mean, we're talking about potentially at least 2,000 years. Yeah, and that's
not what this episode's for, though.
No, because we can talk a lot about that. Yeah. But it's like even if we just take like the standard timeline for that. Yeah. It's like okay, so between Genesis 1 and Genesis 10, potentially, we're talking about a couple thousand years. Potentially more. Yeah. But it's like, so, I mean, it's to your point, it's like there's a lot of time in there. I mean, potentially less too, but it's like, even then, even if it was 200 years, it's like, wow, that's a lot of time for only a couple chapters.
Yeah, like looking at it, you have more time between Genesis 1 and Genesis 10 than Genesis 11 to Genesis 50. Yeah. So there's more time in those 10 chapters than there is in the next 40 chapters.
Well, even if we look at every book in the New Testament,
oh, right.
All those happen within 30 years.
Right. Well, 40 to 50 years.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
but, yeah.
Yeah. Even then, it's like, oh, that's like no time at all.
Right. Yeah. So it starts to break down like that. Yeah. But that is interesting. So, like, really, the whole conversation around myths is looking at what is the true myth, which is the myth itself is the stories passed down that can and often do include supernatural events or beings. Yeah. And that doesn't mean that myth is false or myth is fiction, right. But instead myth is, how did we say it? The memories of culture. Yes. And so it's the things passed down. Yeah. And so when we look back on these individual myths, the goal is to look at the whole world
Mm-hmm.
and go, what are the memories of these individual cultures,
Yeah.
and what is similar about them,
Yeah.
because it's evidences for a true myth.
Mm-hmm.
We're saying that that's the Christian myth,
Yeah.
or the Hebrew myth and story and memory of how God came to be and created all things. So
And
Yahweh, yeah.
No, sorry to interrupt. I think it's important here to say as well is like, as we're going through these, it's like none of this, because I think it's easy for people like, oh, look at all the similarities. The Bible's right. It's like, well, that's not what it shows.
Right.
And it's like, even reading all the myths, like we're showing, and obviously we both believe in the Bible.
Right.
And so it's like, that's where my bias leans toward. But
For sure.
if we look at this, like these myths don't tell us the Bible's right. The fact that all these details line up with the scriptural account.
Right.
But what it does show is everyone's saying the same thing.
Yeah.
So this is probably what happened.
Yeah, it's a higher likelihood that this type of event happened.
Yes.
And so therefore it is a type of apologetics
Yeah.
to go through and strengthen your argument, which our argument would be that that Yahweh is the one true God, and that the Bible, the 66 canonical books, as you go through it, there is more truth in it, even as you look at all of the other world myths.
Yeah.
You look at all of those, and a lot of them are later
Mm-hmm.
and copy almost directly.
Yeah.
Which that's where when you look at like the Mayan and the Aztec and you start to look at all of those things, and you kind of go like, they're just echoing the Babel story, which is actually older.
Yeah.
And then even the ones that are potentially older than the Hebrew, when it's written down, is echoing a similar thing.
Yeah.
And then you can get into the conversation of, well, are they borrowing from them? And you kind of go
and
like,
that's kind of where I was getting at. It's like, it's hard for us to say yes because of how far spread apart they were. We would expect that these would change.
Well, I think that we've discussed in the previous episodes that the posture of the Hebrew scripture is not necessarily saying this is what happened. It's saying that you're saying that is what happened.
Yeah.
But we're saying that this is actually what happened.
Yeah, it's setting the record straight.
Yeah.
It's like the Bible isn't trying to be proactive. It's more retroactive.
Yeah,
and
in some
you
spaces.
you guys are going way too far off. Let me
Right.
just reset.
Yeah.
Let me just tell you, no, this is it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in that way, it actually kind of brings it all back into line. Like it brings human history back into line in an interesting way.
Yes.
So when we look at all these other myths, like we talked a lot in the creation myth conversation, that the Genesis 1 account is actually a response to an older conversation, potentially older conversation. It's saying, you guys say it's these gods. It wasn't those gods. It was actually Yahweh.
Yes.
And we see this echoed in the New Testament with Paul in Athens. And he's saying, like, you guys, there's the unknown or unnamed God. That's the one true God. So you're worshiping all these other gods, and you're also worshiping this one. But this unknown God, this is the actual.
Yeah.
This is the true God. These other gods are imitations.
Yeah. I mean, we see that even in the letters to the churches in Revelation.
Yeah.
Where he starts off with, this is my description of who I am.
Yes.
And each of those is a reflection and a counter to who the God was of those cities the churches was in.
Yeah.
And saying like, no, it's not Apollo.
Right.
It's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's pretty important that we're going through these myths and kind of putting them all in one place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it does create this conversation around essentially what the Bible is doing itself is a gift to us of the through line and the truth of why we're here, what we're doing here, what's going on around us.
Yeah.
Also answering the questions that other humans in other spaces have tried to answer on their own or by knowledge given to them by false gods
Yeah.
And in that, it's the answer to those questions of, is this real or not?
Yeah. And
So,
that's
yeah.
kind of where, for me, because we talked about this early on in this myth series that we're on,
Yeah.
is it's like, okay, so are these all just made up?
Right.
And it's like, well, if we're looking at people that are separated by geography, by culture, by language, by any metric you can think of,
Yeah.
and they're making up these stories of our origins, why do they keep making up the same story?
Well, that's the thing. Yeah.
And it's where it's like, I think it's a ridiculous statement, personally,
Yeah.
to be like, oh, yeah, it's just coincidence.
Right.
And it's like, no, these can't be just all made up.
Right.
It doesn't mean every detail is right.
Correct.
And it doesn't mean that, like, this is exactly, like, point for point. But
Yeah.
it's like, there is an element of truth, I think, in all these. The fact that we're all telling the same story.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
So I think maybe we'll try and wrap up myths next episode.
I think so.
Yeah. So we'll try and wrap that up and then kind of give a synopsis on
Launch
it.
into new, fun, and exciting things.
Oh yeah. I mean,
We've got so much to talk about.
I know.
We got
Our
so
list
much.
keeps getting longer.
I keep like, I know that, like I could keep going for another 4 hours at least myself.
I know.
Without taking a break,
I know.
and that's without you sharing your thoughts.
I know.
Which so it's like, oh man, we could record 10 hours easy.
Yeah, we could.
So I'm holding back right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll unpack more and jump into that on the next episode.
Yeah, because I think this conversation, the way we're framing it now, is important for how we're gonna have conversations in the future.
Absolutely.
Because this is setting our baseline and our framework.
Yeah, and every episode of Martyr's Row is building a framework to
Yeah.
live within, to really understand and to ask questions and have definitions and things defined.
Yeah,
Because you can't really have a conversation unless you speak the same language,
exactly.
right?
Interesting.
Yeah.
I
So
like it. That was good.
let us babble on home.
Babylon. Oh, that was good.
Babylon home.
Babylon.
You still have to walk home,
I do.
and it's like 6 a.m. now.
Hopefully I don't miss my turn.
That was fun, Paul.
That was fun.
So we'll
Thanks for-
continue it next time.
Thanks for babbling with me.
I love to babble. See you next time. 3, 2, 1.